So if you want to know how Cubeatz makes crazy samples in the style of Southside, this is the perfect video for you. Yo guys, what's up and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how Cubeatz makes crazy and bouncy samples in the style of Southside and 808 Mafia. So first of all, I will show you all the sample and break down every single pattern and every single sound I have in there. Then after that, I will show you how I mix it and how I process these sounds. And then for the last thing for the sample, I will break down my mastering chain, which is a very important thing on my samples. And then for the beat, I will break down every single pattern as well and show you all the drum sounds I use. And by the way, I finally have channel memberships where you can get my weekly samples, just a pack of samples, and my previous weekly samples, and like an updated folder where it updates every week, so don't miss out on that. So you just go on my channel and then there's like this little join button and then you can just see which option you want to pick and then just pick it. I would really appreciate that, and please don't forget to leave a like and to leave a comment. It would really mean a lot and it would really help me. And don't forget to watch till the end. And with that being said, yeah guys, let's go. So I started off with Analog Lab and I used the Rage preset out of the Loophole 2 bank, and what I did was laying down this repetitive pattern. As you can see, it's just in C minor chord and I copied it 6 times. And then for the next thing I did the same thing, but then went down to a chord with the G, C and F and did the same thing again. And then for the last part I just switched it up a little bit and changed some notes, as you can see. Then after that I just laid down this simple top line, which gives the sample a lot more variation though, and it makes it sound cooler and more like epic, I would say. And then I pressed Alt and R to randomize the velocities. As you can see right here, you can just play with it and play with the seed, so every single note gets like a different velocity. And that's basically all I did for the sound, and the finished pattern is sounding like this. Then for the effects on the sound, I just have the simple soothe on its hard setting and the knob to 4.6, and I have this simple EQ where I just cut out some of the lows and ducked some of the highs, just that the other instruments have like more space in this frequency area. Then after that I just rendered it out, and first of all I rendered like the main melody, and then after that I just rendered like the lead melody, I would say, and put them both on the same mixer track. And on this mixer track I just have the simple soothe on its hard setting and the knob to 3.0, and this EQ where it cut out a lot of the lows and low mids and ducked some of the mids and some of the highs. Then for the next thing I used the Sense kit from Producer Grind, and I used this guitar phrase which is called Electric Feel. It was in D minor, so I pitched it down by 2 because I was in C minor. Put the mode to stretch, put the declicking mode to generic, and as you can see right here I chopped it up heavily just because it was a bit of time for this sample, so I just chopped it up like this. And then I had this automation clip for the volume because as you can see it just goes on right here, and I just wanted the volume to fade out a little bit, and that's what I achieved with that. And the guitar phrase is sounding like this. Then for the effects on this guitar phrase, I have this archetype Tim Henson with the default preset, then this Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix, the decay and the low cut, then this simple soothe on its hard setting and the knob to 1.7, and then I had this EQ just to cut out some of the low lows because I didn't want them to be in the sample. Then for the next thing I have this Cymatics Enchanted vocal loop, which was in G minor, so I pitched it up by 5 just to bring it into the key of C. I put the declicking mode to generic, put the mode to stretch, and I will show you all the effects first because the sample has 3 parts, and in the third part there's a vocal sample as well. So for the effects on these vocals, I have this Fruity Reverb 2. I turned down the bass multiplier. I played with the zero separation and the wet knob. Then this simple EQ where I just cut out a lot of the lows and low mids and a lot of the highs, basically just to duck them onto the background. Then I have this soothe on its hard setting in the knob to 5.4, and I have it 12% in stereo. And the first vocal loop is sounding like this. And for the second vocal loop, I have this For Keeps vocal loop from Cymatics as well. I pitched it up by 2 just to bring it into key. Then have the declicking mode to generic, the mode to stretch as always. And I normalized it because it was a bit quiet, as you can see right here. And the second vocal loop is sounding like this. Then for the next thing I have this vinyl crackle sound right here, I would say, and I didn't tweak it at all. As you can see, the declicking mode is on default, the volume is on default, the mode is on default. The only thing I really did was cutting out some of the lows and some of the low mids because it was like not necessary for the sample, I would say, and I just copied it over for these 8 bars, and the vinyl crackle sound is sounding like this. Then for the next thing I used this Luca bass bass out of my Goldmine kit, and I put the crossfade to 100% just that it plays on all the time. And that's the bass line I laid down. It looks a bit complex. I have some slide notes right here just because I wanted to give the sample or like the bass line more of a variation. And other than that, it's just the root notes from the first pattern you saw, and that's all I did for this bass line, and it sounds like this. Then for the effects on this bass line, I have this soothe where I had the depth to 9.1 and I turned the knob from soft to hard. Then this R compressor from Waves where I had the threshold to -16.3, the ratio to 1.64 and the gain to 2.7. Then after that I put on this decapitator where I played with the drive, the style and the tone. Then this 40 fast distortion which I had on its default settings, I just turned the mix to 35%. Then this simple EQ just to cut out some of the muddy lows, and I had it 100% in mono. Then for the most important thing on my samples is the mastering chain, and on the mastering chain I have this A1 stereo control where I had the 0 white to 125%, then the save bass option on where the frequency was 336, and that's basically all I did for this A1 stereo control. Then for the next thing I have this R compressor which does nothing for this sample, but it's just on there in case I want to like glue the sample more together. Then this Abbey Road vinyl from Waves where I just have my vintage master preset. It's a preset I made by myself. Y'all can just copy them settings and pause the video for a second. Then I have the sound shifter pitch stereo from Waves where I just pitched it up by 3 semitones. Then this chroma tape stereo from Waves where I have this mastering big and open preset on. Then this L1 limiter just to make the sample louder. This simple soothe on its default settings, and this EQ which I didn't touch at all for this sample, but it's just on there in case I want to EQ something. And now I'll play the sample with and without the mastering chain, and this is the sample without the mastering chain. And now this is the sample with the mastering chain. And now for the beat breakdown, the first thing I obviously did was dragging in the sample, and I put the declicker mode to generic, pitch it down by 2 semitones, put the mode to stretch and the trim knob to 100%. Then what I did after that was just laying down this pretty simple 2-step hide pattern. It's obviously just a 2-step hide pattern with the Luca Beautiful hide, which is in my upcoming Stash 2023 drum kit. And it's obviously just a 2-step hide pattern, but it works for a lot of beats, and the hide pattern obviously sounds like this. Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell y'all, I have this looperator on it, which looks like this. It's pretty simple, but it gives the hide pattern a lot more variation. And that's all I did for the hides. Then for the next thing, I have this Lucas second snare clap, which is in the kit as well. And it's just in basic clap pattern, which sounds like this. Then after that, I had the smack shooter disc open head, and I laid down this pretty simple pattern. It's just to layer some of the 808 notes, just that they hit harder. Stuff like that always works. Just layer them 808 notes with like an open head or like another sound, but not a sound that has like bass to it. But for this example, it worked, and it sounds like this. Then after laying down the open heads, I have this snare pattern with the Luca Jacob snare, which is in my Stash Volume 3, but will be in my Stash 2023 as well. And all I did was going to snare midis and picking the first one, and then just brought it to the end of these 8 bars. And as you can see, I pressed shift and the left mouse button just to copy it up. And what I did too was going to note pan right here and then just sliding it down, so just that it goes from left to right and just that it has like more motion. And then I just copied the lower part of the snare roll and lowered the volume just that it's not that present. And the snare roll is sounding like this. And then obviously for the most important thing, I have this 808 pattern with the Max Shooter Menace to the 808's 808. And I laid down this pretty simple pattern just on the root notes from the sample, where I can't really explain much. I just go by gut feeling, and I just press my spacebar like 1,000 times just to see what sounds good. But what I did was putting the velocity all the way up, just that they hit harder. And the 808 pattern with the finished beat and everything else is sounding like this. So yeah guys, if you all enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. It would really mean a lot. And don't forget to leave a comment and to turn on the post notifications as well. And if you all haven't already, make sure to check out the channel memberships. It's just besides the subscribe button. And if you all at it, please make sure to subscribe as I said. And if you want to get my kits that I used in this video, the link for that is in the description. And I told y'all which kits I use, so it's pretty simple to find them. And thank you for all this crazy support. And we just hit 3K. The Stash 2023 will be out now very soon. And with that being said, don't forget to check out the channel memberships. And yeah guys, see y'all.